And time now is 9:01. You're listening to your local hometown radio station, WPKY 103.3 FM The Tiger. Quick look at your weather. Currently 74 degrees with fair skies in downtown Princeton. Today, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon hours. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies, high near 83. Tonight, 10% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies, lows around 69. And looking ahead to the end of the work week, tomorrow, Friday, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Friday night, partly cloudy skies, lows around 70. Perfect weather for your first home game for your Tiger football team. Time is 9 o'clock, which means that it's time once again for the Sideline Report with Todd Griffin, who's in the studio with special guest Tyler Dixon, who is the sports editor for Kentucky New Era. I'll turn it over to you, Todd.
Oh, good morning. How's it going, first of all?
Oh, can't complain.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking to Tyler. I thought
No,
I was done.
No, you're still on.
Shoot.
Yeah.
We have to have some friendly banter when
Yeah,
the
it
show
Now,
comes
started
on.
out.
I told you what my plan was. I know so little about sports. I was going to intro you and then just sit quietly for the next 30 minutes.
We know very little as well.
You've
Believe
ruined
me.
it for me. I'm doing well. How are you, Todd?
Great. It's a busy day in sports.
It is a
Very
busy
busy.
day in sports. See, look at that. I can make up.
Yeah,
banter.
see? It's easy. But it is a busy day. There's lots going on locally. Purdue plays tonight on ESPN against Northwestern, and, fingers crossed that Elijah Sindelar will get the start. I
Yeah.
think he will.
I think he's got to.
Yeah, I think both quarterbacks are going to play, but I really feel like Sindelar just fits that offense so good that he's going to get the start.
And you can't really deny how he ended the year last year. I mean, to do all that with an injury, to kind of carry that offense, I mean, that's a huge move. And like you said, I think you got to go to him.
Yeah, my favorite comment that I saw was if Sindelar didn't give up that he had a torn ACL for a month last year, he's not going to give up who the starting quarterback
Right,
is.
exactly. Yeah, that's a pretty thing to hold close for a month. But yeah, a lot of local connections on that Purdue team.
Oh, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of Christian County kids.
Yeah.
I saw they were on the two deep depth chart today.
Yeah, Coco Major on the defensive side, and then Kieran
Catlett?
Catlett. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, Kieran Catlett on the number 3 wide receiver right now. Then you got Corey Trice up and coming in the defensive backfield. So, yeah, a lot of local Christian County flavor.
I'm not sure I completely understand the reluctance of some coaches to name a starting quarterback.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you can win football games even if the other team knows who your quarterback is.
And it's not like these are two new quarterbacks. I mean, that you have to worry about egos, I guess. I mean, these are both experienced guys that have been around the program. I'm sure they're going to be – I know they want to start, but I know it's not going to be completely heartbreaking and crushing if they don't get it because they
Right.
know they're going to get their shot this year.
Well, here's the thing. David Blau probably deserves to play. He's stuck around. He's been the starter. Really gutsy kid. I think
Right.
everybody, has respect for him after what he did last season and just the way that he and Elijah have both kind of approached the quarterback situation there. But Elijah looks to be the guy. And in college, that's who you go with. As a matter of fact, if they brought in a 5-star kid next year that was better than Sindelar, he would probably start over Sindelar.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, that's
Yeah.
just college sports.
And you say that. It's all about kind of next man up. I mean, like you said, if you have that 5-star guy, you come in, you want to build your offense around him. You don't want him to – if you have a guy that's ready to come in and produce, you don't want him to wait around for 2 or 3 years. You want him to come in, get 3-4 years with that offense, and see how far he can take you.
My crazy prediction tonight is that at one point we'll see both quarterbacks on the field.
At the same
Yes.
time?
Braum likes to run all these trick plays and try to confuse the defense. I think we're going to see a play at some point where both quarterbacks are out there and you see some kind of razzle-dazzle throwback to the guy who took the snap kind of play.
I can't see it right now, but I'll hold out tonight. You haven't been wrong very often, so I'm gonna say maybe. Go maybe right now.
That's my prediction. Sindelar starts at quarterback. Blau does see some time at quarterback. He'll get a couple of series, and we see a crazy play with both of them out there. Because Jeff
Any
Brom
prediction I make
always
is not going to beat
has
that.
a crazy one.
That's true. Yes.
But a tough way for Purdue to start the season. It's Northwestern. It's a big team
Yeah.
game. It's a big game.
Yeah. I mean, Northwestern. I mean, you can't really doubt what they've done the last couple of years, bringing that program up. You look at the state of Illinois right now. Me being an Illinois boy, that's, I mean, probably one of the best programs in the state right now. I know
Yeah.
Lovey's really trying to turn it around at U of I. But, I mean, you look at Northwestern, even in basketball, I mean, they are really, really on the up and up the last couple of years.
It's going to be a big game. It's going to be on ESPN. It's a big TV game to start the season. And, again, I know everybody in Caldwell County is anxious to see who that starting quarterback is going to be tonight.
And luckily, we will probably not be able to see it live.
Well, no, because there's a lot of local stuff going on tonight. First of all, Caldwell County boys soccer plays at home tonight. I think that's probably the only home thing going on. The Tigers face Fort Campbell. It's been a tough start for the Tigers soccer team, now 0-5, but Fort Campbell is 1-5. So, you know, somebody could go a long way toward maybe turning their season around with a win tonight.
I haven't seen Fort Campbell yet. Little surprised, though. I know they played Hopkinsville first or second game of the year, and it was 4-2, 5-2. Not very, very low scoring for Hopkinsville standards, especially, but a team loses, I think I added up, close to 100 goals, 50, 60 assists from last year. Anytime you lose that, you're going to lose a lot of offense, but I think it'll be a pretty good little matchup tonight up here.
The Lady Tigers soccer team is at Graves County tonight. That could be a nice match. The Lady Tigers got off to a slow start against just a killer schedule. They were 1-4, but they've won 3 straight. The last 2 wins were by mercy rule. So the Lady Tigers are now 4-4, but they go to a Graves County team that's 4-1-1,
right,
and they've played some pretty good teams. So that'll be a good test for the Lady Tigers to see just how far they've come.
I'm trying to think of the teams I've seen up here. The Lion, maybe in the All-A. I saw UHA play on the girls' side, but, I mean, any team that matches up against UHA is going to look really, really tough, unless you're Henderson, maybe Madisonville. But I've said it a lot around town in Hopkinsville. In 2-3 years, I don't know what the situation is up here, but in 2-3 years, the girls soccer is going to be really, really good. I know the starting forwards for Christian County are both freshmen. Leading scorer for Hopkinsville is a freshman. For UHA, you got Kate Kanzler, who's a sophomore. Really, really good soccer coming up the next couple of years.
Things go in cycles because it seems like some sports it's down a little bit. You know, I think overall in the second region, if you look at volleyball, it's down just a little bit, except at the very top where Caldwell County and Henderson County are the latest coaches poll are tied for number 1 in the region. Then right behind them at third, you've got Hopkinsville and UHA.
Which I'm confused about. I'm confused that Hopkinsville and UHA are tied just because UHA swept Hopkinsville pretty handily last week. So I'm a little confused about that. But it's kind of like football polls. You get this early in the season, and it's really, really hard to tell so far. But yeah.
Well, and Hopkinsville's record is not very good, but they played some pretty good teams.
They played some good teams. Just got back from the Bluegrass Invite. But a lot of veterans on that team that I think come postseason time, I think that'll really, really help them.
And at number 5 in the second region coaches poll, Crittenden County with an 11-1 start this season. Kind of surprised everybody a little bit.
Very surprised. I know I saw them in the All-A against University Heights in that second region final, and I talked to a couple coaches before, and they said Crittenden County is definitely on the way up. And they played well, forced that third set against University Heights. They did the best of 3 format in the All-A. I mean, we're leading. I mean, in that third set, University Heights has scored, I think, the final 4 points. To win that third set, 15-13, which heading upwards.
I kind of thought maybe we would see a Webster County or a Madisonville. You know that.
Just, I mean, really, really good. Obviously, Caldwell was great last year, but very, very top heavy. But I think and like you said, it does come in waves. I think UHA is right on that cusp. I know last year, Faye Hendricks said a lot of times that they were the young team. They didn't have a lot of experience, but now all those girls are back. They have a lot of experience, and so I think it'll be really, really interesting to see how the second region shakes out.
I think if I had to rank them right now, I would still have Henderson County at number 1. I think they've won the region 3 years in a row, so until somebody beats them, you got
exactly.
Caldwell County is on their heels, though. I mean, Caldwell County is a solid number 2, and I think UHA is pushing both of them at number 3 right now.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple matches from UHA, specifically at that All-A, and I mean, they look good. They Megan Adams, John Adams, the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator for Christian County. His daughter is at UHA now. Really, really explosive. I heard a lot of good things from her coming over from McCracken, but actually watching her on the floor, she's powerful, she's dominant, she doesn't like to lose, so she has a lot of her dad in that sense. But I think coming forward, I think they're going to be very, very good.
Caldwell County volleyball is off to an 8-2 start, and that's against some pretty good competition early in the season. Lady Tigers play at Christian Fellowship School tonight. If you look at the original schedule, that was down as a home match, but it will be away. So it's been a long stretch between home dates for the Lady Tigers, and according to my schedule, the next home game's not until September 11th against Callaway County. But the good news for Lady Tiger fans is the back half of the schedule is pretty loaded with home dates. So we've only had 2 home games so far, so that 8-2 record really looks good when you figure that most of those games have been on the road and against some pretty good teams.
It's always nice to come home. I know a lot of times in Western Kentucky we don't really get those invitationals like you do in Louisville, Lexington, and E-Town. So it's always nice to come back, play a few games in front of your home fans. I know I was at Christian County last night after they played 5-6 games at the Bluegrass Invite, and then to come back and play in front of your home fans, it's always nice to get that comfort factor back.
Caldwell County's 2 losses have come to Louisville Holy Cross, which is a top 25 team, and to South Warren, which made the Final Four at the state tournament last year. So, and that's pretty good competition.
That's pretty good losses. I have a feeling we're going to talk about good losses later on whenever we get football.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
yeah. And Caldwell has a win over Louisville Presentation, which I think is ranked 12th in the state in the latest coaches poll, so that's pretty good. My big question, though, every time I bring up Christian Fellowship School is this. Christian Fellowship School is located in Marshall County, pretty much across the road from Marshall County High School.
Yes.
Marshall County High School says it's in Draftonville. Christian Fellowship School says it's in Bryansburg. They are literally neighbors. So where is the line?
It's like
marking Draftonville and Bryansburg.
It's like Ohio County. Are you in Beaver Dam
Oh,
or are you in Hartford?
Don't even start that. I still don't know.
Do you have a take? You pulled that a little closer.
I was really just afraid Todd was going to ask me a direct question I was going to have to answer. It was more preparation than it was actual question.
I looked his way.
You did. You looked his way.
I've been trying to avoid your eye contact for the last 15 minutes.
It was a geography question.
Which geography is kind of my wheelhouse more than sports is, but I'm afraid I don't have an answer for that.
And even more confusing is that the postal address for both says Benton.
Yeah.
So
sounds like they're not on top of things in Marshall County.
So just
that's kind of what it sounds like. Yeah.
It makes you wonder. It's a little confusing for outsiders. I'm sure if you live in Marshall County, it makes perfect sense.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Ohio County thing where
I know we were there for wrestling last year, and I went and asked an official, and I'm like, I have a question that may sound a little dumb, and I'm like, are we in Hartford or are we in Beaver Dam? And they're like, not a dumb question at all. I think they have vice versa. One is either a Beaver Dam phone number and a Hartford address, or the other way around, and I think
that's right.
Yeah.
I think it's Beaver Dam phone number, but Hartford address.
I think it's like Greenville and Powderly. Have you ever been over there? Like they just I think it
You
cuts
just
their
go from one-
IGA in two. The city line between Greenville and Powderly. You're on something that's like Highway 62, businesses everywhere, and there's just a sign that says
it's in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, you're in Powderly now.
But we had that come up. When wrestling last year, and then Caldwell's girls went up there for basketball last year, and the high school clearly rests inside of Beaver Dam.
Yes.
But they say it's Hartford.
Maybe you spend
Hartford
so much
is just
time
up the
trying
road,
to figure
but-
out where you are.
Isn't there like a Casey's
It
right up
affects
the
your
road
sports
that's a
ability.
Hartford or something?
I'm not sure.
There's something right next to it that also has a Hartford address, and it's very confusing.
But the Dairy Queen next door has a Beaver Dam address. The Walmart across the street has a Beaver Dam address. But the school address plainly says Hartford. Now the Board of Education is in Hartford, but I think people play tricks with geography sometimes just to confuse us all.
Right.
I hope they're better at sports than they are geography.
So we've gone nowhere to answer the question.
No, we haven't answered any of these questions that we brought up so
These
far.
are the questions to keep you up at night.
It's a mystery of the universe.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, that'll be good.
All right. Well, we'll be right back. You're listening to the Sideline Report with Todd Griffin and special guest Tyler Dixon.
Get spruced up with quality mulch from Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road in Princeton. We all know buying mulch by the truckload saves money, and it's only $25 per load for dark natural mulch at Bashir Sawmill on the Dawson Road, 1/2 mile past City County Park. Bashir Sawmill also buys standing timber and timberland. Give them a call today, 270-365-2330. That's Bashir Sawmill, family owned and operated in Princeton for over 50 years. ABC Finance is proud to give back to the community. That's why they are collecting school supplies. When you visit, why not drop off a few school supplies? ABC Finance is working with local agencies to distribute collected school supplies to area schools. Come on out to ABC Finance and let Jody and Virginia help you with your back-to-school needs. From school clothes to cars or maybe even that late summer vacation, ABC Finance has loan terms and payments that will fit any budget. At ABC Finance on US 62 at Princeton Plaza. Phone 270-365-7444.
And time now is 9:18. You're listening to the Sideline Report on your local hometown radio station, WPKY 103.3 FM. The Sideline Report is brought to you by ABC Finance, U-Ride, and Bashir Sawmill. We have in the studio Todd Griffin with his special guest, Tyler Dixon, sports editor at the Kentucky New Era. Back to you, Todd. Oh, nope, not back to you. Now
All
say
right,
that.
now we have sound.
Not on top of things this morning.
Thoughts, Coda?
You've made me so nervous. Y'all
Well,
just talk.
Just saying that it's a busy day. We haven't even scratched the surface on the sports schedule. Boys soccer at home tonight, girls soccer at Graves, volleyball at Christian Fellowship. The Caldwell County middle school football teams are at Trigg County tonight. There's college football. Purdue's hosting Northwestern. The Murray State Racers are at home tonight against Southern Illinois, and I'm sure, Tyler, you like that matchup.
I don't know who to go for. I'm a Saluki at heart. I graduated from SIU Carbondale. I also graduated from Murray State, so it's really, really hard to pick one. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm hopefully going to be able to get over there tonight. But I mean, got some local flavor. Don Parker from Hopkinsville, starting strong safety tonight for Murray State. One of only two true sophomores to start on the defensive end. So I mean that's a huge accomplishment for Parker in only his second year.
Murray State's football program has kind of been, I guess, in a little bit of limbo in recent years, I guess, for lack of a better term. And, I can remember when they were winning OVC championships, and it was fun and exciting. And even though
Tony Romo, those good days. Yeah,
I was down there.
Really?
I saw the field goal.
Yeah.
Stuart Childress was the quarterback that day for the Murray State Racers, former Caldwell County Tigers. So that was big. Out-dueled Tony Romo.
Shane Anders's mom worked with me at the Murray Ledger in Murray.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And it was about a 48-yard field
it was
goal, if I remember.
Pretty lengthy field goal, yeah.
Actually, Romo had led Eastern Illinois down the field for a touchdown late in the game, and it looked like they were going to pull that game out. But then Stuart Childress hit a pass or two. The Racers got down just close enough to try a field goal, and I want to say it was 48, 50 yards, 51 yards, something like that.
I've seen the video plenty of times. I know that they play it sometimes on the video board, and then I think it's Hall of Champions, something like that, inside the bank over there. They play that video a lot. It's pretty good.
But I would love to see Murray State football get back to where it was at times, and I think a lot of Murray's interest goes into their basketball program, and I completely understand why. I mean, you've got a chance there to go to the NCAA tournament and not just get there and be happy, but maybe win a game or two, and I think that's where the majority of their interest ends up going. But I would love to see them put a little more into the football program, and of course, baseball now is big for us because we've got Luke Brown down there. Shane Burns is down there, so looking for good things out of that too.
And like you said, going there, I was there for a year and a half for graduate school, and basketball really is king there. The atmosphere for basketball was awesome. I loved it. The atmosphere for football, as much as it hurts me to say, people go there for the halftime show. The band is great. The band is really, really good at Murray State, and I remember, I think I was looking on Instagram yesterday on the Murray State page, and they had a poll that said, "Are you looking forward to the game or the halftime show?" And the halftime show won by about 75%.
Oh, man.
So I don't really know if that worked out the way they wanted, but yeah, like you said, basketball is king. But I mean, you have guys like Isaiah Cannon and Campaign and Jonathan Stark and now John Morant. I think that it's still going to kind of continue that way, but football I think has to get better. Obviously, I think they're picked. Are they last in the OVC or second
was
to
last or next to
yeah.
last? It was.
So I think you got to get that up. Obviously, getting better players, recruiting better players, but until that kind of shifts, I think basketball will still be king. Like you said with baseball, I mean that's great with Shane and Luke. I've watched them the last couple of years with the Hoppers, and I really like Murray State getting those local guys. You know, they have a couple guys from Paducah, one from Tillman that I know for a while, and I think that's going to bring a lot more local West Kentucky people to games.
And I don't want them to take anything away from basketball.
Right.
Keep pushing forward to basketball, but just try to elevate the other sports along with it. And I understand how college sports work a little bit. You know, basketball is the program that's had the success. It's won all the OVC championships. That's where the boosters tend to push their money toward. And so, I mean, that's how you develop a program. But at some point, you have to kind of drag the other sports along. With
you got to bring them up. It doesn't do any good to have a basketball team that is always competing, always in contention for the OVC, but your other big sport is never in contention. I know in the OVC last few years at least, Jacksonville State has been king.
Oh yeah.
And I know not a lot of people care about men's golf, but that's been the situation of men's golf. My brother just graduated from SIU Edwardsville, and Jacksonville State has been really the king in that as well. So they're definitely picking up in multiple sports.
I actually have some baseball news. The Murray State Racers are going to play a couple of fall games, and crazily enough, they're going to play Wren Lake Community College, and they're going to play Frontier Community College. And we have Tigers at both places. We've got 3 Tigers at Wren Lake. Noah Brown, Jace Felker, and Bryce Thomas are on the Wren Lake team. They're going to play down at Murray on September 28th. And then on October 14th, Murray State will play its second game of the fall against Frontier Community College. And Ty Ramey is a pitcher there, not just pitching, but actually saw an inning's worth of action in a game Tuesday as Frontier beat Lincoln Trail. Ramey pitched an inning, no hits, no runs, a walk, and a strikeout. So, you know, it doesn't seem like baseball season for the colleges anyway, but there you go. Some of them are playing their fall schedules.
My big question is, who is Mr. Brown going to go for?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
That'll be. I'm really intrigued because I don't know.
Have to get him in here and talk.
Yeah, I think that would be worth it to see who he's going to pick. I'll tweet at him later and ask him who's going to pick in that game.
But that's just interesting because a lot of times when a Murray State or any other school brings in a JUCO like that, it's not just for the competition; it's to take a look at those kids.
Right, exactly, and that's the name of the game because. I know I've talked to a lot of kids, and I know you have as well. Been around sports for long enough. JUCO community college sometimes has the stigma of, oh, you're not good enough, you're not able to play at that next level. No, that's not it. You're there to get you to that next level. They know you can get there, and getting an extra set of eyes, especially in that kind of environment, to see how you perform under pressure, how you perform when adversity hits. That's what Division I big time programs look for.
Well, I think we would all like to go to, a top 10 Division I school in whatever sport we play, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with a smaller school. I mean, you get a chance to play for one thing.
Exactly.
You don't want to go to some place where you're going to be overshadowed or stuck behind so many people that you don't get a chance to play. And you're a whole lot better off going to a smaller school to start out with, get some playing time, show what you can do, and if you can play, the big schools will come calling.
And a lot of times, Division I programs have that relationship with those JUCO coaches. I know a lot of times in basketball, coaches will talk to a player and they're like, well, you're not physically where we need you to be yet. So they have a connection at a JUCO. They'll go there, go for a year or two, and then come back. And it's honestly, it's all in the best interest of the player. I know a lot of times college athletics gets kind of a bad rap, but for a good reason a lot of time. But a lot of times it is about the kids, and I think that's one area where it's true, where they want them to succeed at the lower level. They want them to perform. They want them to hit their peak and then kind of perform at that upper level. I'm
just tickled to see so many Caldwell County Tigers on the list because, that's a bunch of kids at Murray State, Rend Lake, Frontier.
Right.
We've got, I think, 5 kids. I had it in the paper this week playing college football this fall. 3 girls are on college volleyball rosters. That's a whole lot of kids for a school that's, not a larger school. It's not really a small Class A school. As a matter of fact, got bumped out of the All-A Classic this year.
Yes.
But still, I wouldn't call Caldwell County a large school.
Yeah, and I know my first time up here and everybody said, oh, Caldwell County is very small. Well, my hometown's about 700 people. Yeah. So to me, this is large. Whenever Dakota said downtown earlier, I'm like, man, my town doesn't even have a downtown. So this is it is a little bit large for me, but I know for people in this area, it still has that small town feel. But yeah, to churn out the athletes that Caldwell County turns out, to turn out the athletes that Hopkinsville turns out, it's pretty phenomenal in this part of the state.
Well, Dakota, this used to be the outskirts of town, and that's the Butler building used to be the western edge, because the alma mater says on our city's western border, and that's Butler.
Interesting.
So see,
I've only ever heard that alma mater song. There's a song, isn't it?
Yes.
Like actual song.
Yeah. Not gonna ask me to sing it, are you?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
if anybody would know it, I would hope it would be.
I was kind of laying the groundwork for it.
I think I could, but I'm not sure I'd want to sing it for everybody. That we're trying to get more listeners, not less.
I feel like I just was robbed of something of my high school career that we didn't have a song at the high school.
Oh well, there is.
Okay. Well,
the Caldwell County alma mater is the same as the Butler. It still says on our city's western border.
Is there not Butler mentioned? Do we just change it out? Caldwell County High School. I feel like Butler and Caldwell County High School just aren't easily interchangeable in the song lyric.
That's true.
No, I don't think it's in there.
I feel like you couldn't fit that all in one breath.
Yeah, kind of wishing I hadn't brought that up now. But
well, now the listeners want to know, Todd.
Yeah.
But actually, this used to be, Butler. The Butler building was about the edge of town, and this was the outskirts of the city.
I know the way my grandparents always talk about when Highway 62 was just field.
Yeah.
I mean, I think wasn't town really growing? It was growing the other direction there for a while. I mean, there used to be the roller rink and the grocery store out there by Old Jerry's Market. And
oh, yeah. The IGA.
Yeah. Since we branched into IGA, let's see how many times we can plug IGA. Not a sponsor of this show, but I've only mentioned it 4 or 5 times. But
I think in the history of Princeton, it's tried to grow in several different directions. At one point, it tried to grow out toward Dawson, and then it
Tiger Den and all that.
Tried to go out toward the ballpark, and then 62 West kind of became the place to be.
Yeah, we'll make up our mind eventually.
When I was younger, when the first Walmart went in, that was sort of the edge of everything out that way, at least to me. And now you look, and there's all kinds of things out that way, and Walmart just keeps moving farther away.
The next time they build a Walmart, it'll be in Edible.
I was going to say Catawba.
Yeah. So I'm where were we? Here. I don't know. I don't know what.
Well, there's a plaza. The Walmart started there, and then moved to the other end of the plaza.
Yeah.
And moved a few miles out. It's just working its way down 62.
Yeah, I think we're on Walmart 3.0 right now.
Yeah. Since they're doing all the renovation work out there, so.
So where were we in sports?
I'm not sure. I kind of threw a wrench in that.
I know. There's a certain game that we want to get to eventually.
Oh, yeah. Eventually we'll talk some football.
Yeah.
We've got a top 5 coming up since Cardinal fans in the house
Very
today.
Excited.
We'll have a top 5 favorite Cardinal baseball players. And Dakota, if you want to scribble together a list real quick, we'll let you play.
Oh, I was just going to take us to – I was going to take us to break. Man, I shouldn't have agreed to that before I knew what you were talking about.
That's okay. You just Google on break. There
we go.
Something.
Yeah, it's just going to be the top 5. Nobody else Google the list, okay?
Right.
It'll be exactly the same. But we'll give our listeners something to look forward to. We'll take another quick break, and then we'll be back with the Sideline Report on your local hometown radio station, WPKY The Tiger.
ABC Finance is proud to give back to the community. That's why they are collecting school supplies. When you visit, why not drop off a few school supplies? ABC Finance is working with local agencies to distribute collected school supplies to area schools. Come on out to ABC Finance and let Jody and Virginia help you with your back-to-school needs. From school clothes to cars or maybe even that late summer vacation, ABC Finance has loan terms and payments that will fit any budget. At ABC Finance, That's on US 62 at Princeton Plaza. Phone 270-365-7444. Get spruced up with quality mulch from Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road in Princeton. We all know buying mulch by the truckload saves money, and it's only $25 per load for dark natural mulch at Bashir Sawmill on the Dawson Road, 1/2 mile past City County Park. Bashir Sawmill also buys standing timber and timberland. Give them a call today, 270-365-2330. That's Bashir Sawmill, family owned and operated in Princeton for over 50 years.
And we're back with your local hometown radio station, WPKY, The Tiger. You are listening to the Sideline Report with Todd Griffin and special guest this morning, Tyler Dixon. He's the sports editor at the Kentucky New Era. Back over to you, Todd.
Okay, and I did some thinking during the commercial break.
That's
and
dangerous.
The school name is actually in the alma mater at the end.
It just wouldn't work. We'll have
I
to
had,
come up
I had
with a
to
new one.
I had to listen to the thing in my brain all the way through.
He was thinking real hard, guys.
He was,
during
yeah.
the break.
We didn't talk very much during that
No, it
break
was just-
because of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
You could tell the concentration. It was serious.
So let's get to our top five. And our top
Oh, we're going to go into the top five right
yeah,
now?
let's do the top five.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's-
All
we
right.
usually do the top five around 9:30ish. So
Okay, all right, let's go.
seemed like a good time to do it. It's our top five favorite Cardinals. And I went with Cardinals that I remember watching play because otherwise, I mean, yes, we all know Stan Musial is the number one St. Louis Cardinal.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, of course, all of us know that.
Yeah. You could easily make like a top five all-time great. Musial, Brock, Gibson, Smith, Shandy's. I mean, would that be the top five?
you could throw Rogers Hornsby.
You could throw
in there.
you could throw Rogers Hornsby in there. Yeah.
But, you know, instead of that, these are my favorite top five. You can do your favorite top five.
Okay.
And I'll start with a tie at number five because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Pujols and Jack Clark.
Okay.
And Pujols would be a lot higher if he hadn't left for
hadn't left.
California.
Yes.
And Jack Clark might be higher if he hadn't left for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of broke my heart back in the day. But Jack Clark was a big part of those teams back in the mid-'80s. Go back to 85, 86, 87. The New York Mets had the best team in baseball those 3 years. And the St. Louis Cardinals won the division 2 of those 3 because Whitey Herzog was
Right.
the best manager ever. And Jack Clark was a part of just some really great teams. So how about your number five?
My number five, I'm trying to think. I had this list in my head. I'm going to let you go all the way through, and then I'm going to start
Okay.
at 1 and then go down.
Okay,
Do a
we
little,
can do
little,
that.
little snake. Come on.
Okay, so my number 4 is going to be Yachty.
Okay.
I think
that's
when you
fair.
put together the all-time great Cardinal team, Yadier Molina is going to be your catcher. And there's been some great catchers in
Yeah.
St. Louis, but I think he's
That's
the guy. at
probably,
number 4.
yeah. I know you're going to get some pull from some of those Matheny apologists, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're safe on that one.
I
Yep.
love Matheny as a player.
Yes.
Don't want to talk about his managerial skills.
Not
but,
at all. Yeah.
As a player, loved him. Great Cardinal. Number 3, the Wizard, Ozzie Smith.
I'm going to clash with you on this one, but go ahead.
I mean, a lot of people probably would have the Wizard at number 1, and yes, it was tough, but I still miss watching. You know, the season always began when Ozzie Smith did his flip out to his position
Yes.
at shortstop in St. Louis. To me, that's how that should be a requirement for all shortstops in St. Louis, that you have to be able to turn a flip while running out
I
to your
think Paul
position.
Dion could do that.
Yeah,
I
or
think he
you
could
give it a try.
Yeah, I think he could do a flip.
Number 2, Willie McGee. The
I was at Willie
MVP.
McGee's last game.
Wow.
Yep.
The MVP of the 1982 World Series. I can still see him getting hits and stealing home runs, and everybody's like, who is this guy? Willie McGee.
Willie McGee.
Didn't always look the smoothest,
Yep.
but the guy would hit 350 for you and catch everything he could get to.
Yeah. Just one of those good Cardinals.
Yeah.
Just a really, really good Cardinal. And I think that was he's also flirting around my top 5. Yeah.
And now a bench coach, which makes me even happier.
Oh yeah.
And my number 1 favorite Cardinal of all time, Jim Edmonds.
Oh.
I know that's probably
my
a
mother would
surprise.
love you. Yes.
Probably a surprise to some people. But
It is a surprise.
You know, Mark McGwire got all the attention on some of those Cardinal teams when they were all hitting all the home runs. But there were times when McGwire would go into a slump. Jim Edmonds carried that team for weeks at a time. He wasn't the power hitter that McGwire was because, you know, hardly anybody was. But Edmonds could put a team on his back and carry it. He could save the game in the outfield. He played shallow, which I loved. He could go back and make the catch over the head. I mean, just a highlight reel waiting to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, he's my favorite Cardinal. Jim Edmonds, number one for me.
Mine, they are my all-time favorite Cardinals. They may not
Yes.
be the best at all, but that's my
That's
number
it.
one, and it's not even close. I've always been a Cardinal fan at heart, but I have switched a little bit as he's moved around. My favorite Cardinal of all time is Edgar Renteria,
Wow.
and it's not even close. I could put Edgar Renteria 1 and then start the list again at 6. I just, growing up, I was number 3 because of him growing up. I've gotten his autograph I don't know how many times. He just, to me, was just that hard-nosed kind of player. Not really the best defensively all the time, but I just love the way he played the game, and he will always be my favorite Cardinal.
And left for the Boston Red Sox, I think. And
He
ended
was
up
a-
in Miami, and
He was a
bounced
Red
around.
Sox. He started in Miami. He was on that 97 World Series team. He is one of only, I think, 3 or 4 people to have a go-ahead RBI in 2 different World Series, because he had the one for Florida 97, and then whenever San Francisco won the World Series, he had one of the hits for them as
Yeah.
well. Number 2, Eli Marrero will be my number 2. I don't know, kind of along the lines of Willie McGee. I just like the way he carried himself, like the way he played. Fernando Vina is up there. Scrappy, I played second base. Scrappy second baseman. I'm trying to think.
Eli Marrero actually is pretty significant in Cardinal lore because, if I remember correctly, he was traded to the Atlanta Braves for Adam Wainwright.
For Adam Wainwright.
Yeah. So there's you another guy, that big postseason hero,
Yep.
and Marrero is kind of part of that deal.
I will put Willie McGee up there just because, seeing his last game, that was, my dad talked about the 82 series. So to see that, I remember we were in the nosebleeds, and we were in the top row of the nosebleeds, so high to where I would lean over and look, and my mom would grab my shirt just to make sure that I didn't go a little bit too far.
At Old Bush Stadium, you were looking straight down.
Oh,
from
you
the
were
upper
looking
deck.
straight, and I love Bush 2. I love, the circle. I just loved Old Bush Stadium. And number 5, I'm going to have to go Mark McGwire, just because he was such an influential part of me growing up. I was at 62 with my dad, September 8, 1998, off of Steve Traxel. I will never forget it. It was one of the best moments that I've ever had. That was it was chaotic. I remember my dad and I. My dad's a chiropractor in Southern Illinois, and we live about 2 hours from St. Louis. And I would go to school, he would go to work, pick me up from school. We'd drive to St. Louis, go to the game, come back. We'd stop in Perryville, St. Genevieve, Cape Girardeau, stay at a hotel, go back. He'd go to work. I'd go back to school. We did that back and forth. We saw 60 in that line. We saw 60, 61, 62, and 63.
Oh, cool.
But that's, Mark McGwire has to be on my list. But there are a lot of guys that are just right there. Eduardo Perez is right there for me. Darryl Kyle is right there. My mom was actually at the game in Chicago whenever they announced his death. So just a lot of guys that are right on that, because we could have done a top 10. Honestly.
Oh, yeah.
We could have done a top 10 today. But
Well, and then there are other guys, I remember Tito Landrum. Remember Tito Landrum? Or
No.
Lonnie Smith. Guys
Yes.
like that I can remember on some of those good teams. The guys you don't really think of that.
you got your Ray Langford.
Oh, yeah.
You have all those. No Scott Rowlands.
Mark Whitten.
Yeah,
Remember
Bo
Mark
Hart.
Whitten? Yeah.
Bo Hart, the one-hit wonder. Bo Hart, yeah.
Fernando Tatis, who hit
Two grand slams in one inning.
in the same
Yes,
inning.
yes.
I think that's one of those things that will never happen again.
Oh, no way. There's not a chance.
You think about rarities in baseball, and people say, well, nobody will ever win 300 games again or do this or bat 400. I can't see a guy
Two grand slams. That's
in the same inning,
that's insane.
off the same pitcher.
It's just
I believe it was Chan-Ho Park.
with like
that
purple
right?
hair.
Somebody,
was that right?
Where's our?
Yeah.
I need to get-
Yeah.
I'm afraid we're having technical difficulties.
with like what?
So
green
cruel.
or purple hair? Or
I
something?
can't remember, but yeah.
But yeah, that was. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that will ever happen again. No way.
I would like to know what the odds are of coming to bat twice in the same inning with the bases loaded. Forget hitting the home run.
Yeah,
just 2 at-bats with the sacks juiced.
And you see these whenever guys come up with the bases loaded now, and they have that little stat, because they have stats for everything that says season with the bases loaded, and not very many of them have 2 grand slams in a season or a career, and
the same inning.
Same inning. Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of baseball, and we're going to get to football. I promise everybody we're getting to football eventually. But as long as we're speaking on baseball right now, and we are, Major League Baseball has proposed some changes, or at least has floated some ideas out there, some changes coming along. And Commissioner Rob Manfred and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I do think expansion is coming at some point. I think they're going to get to 32 teams. I think we'll probably see 8 divisions of 4 teams each. I think 4 divisions of 8 teams each makes more sense. I don't like the smaller divisions because I think it opens the door for a weak team to get in the playoffs.
Right.
But I think you're going to see more teams make the playoffs. I think I've just accepted the fact that eventually the designated hitter is become the rule.
Which is awful, but yes.
I think eventually if Manfred has his way, and like I said, you see all kind of stories out there that they're going to make some changes. I think we're going to do away with the American League and the National League. I think they will realign at some point in a more geographic manner. I don't know that I want to see alignment where you have both New York teams in the same division. I think that would kill the Mets.
Right, yeah.
I think in Chicago it would kill the White Sox. I don't want to see that, but I do think they're going to do something to make the schedule make a little more sense, and just wondered if you had any thoughts on that, or if you had seen any of those stories. Or
I've seen a couple. I know I've seen a lot where it talked about expansion, and I know a lot of people want a team back in Montreal. Obviously, I'm growing up in that Montreal era. I'm a huge Vladimir Guerrero fan. I'm still hurt that he went in as an Angel. That still kind of bothers me. But I do think it will expand eventually. I know there's now talk of, is it Louisville getting a team or attempting to organize something?
Well, the list that I saw, the 3 cities that were listed as the top contenders were Portland, because it kind of gives you a travel partner with Seattle. Because Seattle's up there a long way from anybody.
No man's land,
Charlotte, which is one of the largest, quickest growing areas in the country, and Nashville was actually third. I don't know about Nashville. They just built a new AAA stadium.
Yeah,
I don't think it can be expanded to be a major league park. I think they'd have to start from scratch.
Oh, yeah. Now, I like Nashville Sounds.
See, I haven't been to the new stadium.
I haven't been there either.
Have you? No.
No.
You got to. That's
I'm
awesome.
a big fan of AutoZone Park in Memphis where the Redbirds play. I'm a big fan of that, but no, I have not been to Sounds.
There is not a bad seat. That is the best stadium. I love AAA. It's just so much more intimate.
Yeah.
Las Vegas was on the list.
I could see. They're getting everything now.
They would need some type of indoor facility.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I don't like.
Yeah.
My dad and I went to Phoenix when I was younger. We went to a game there, and it was like playing in a big warehouse. I wasn't a fan of it. The bat off the ball, or the ball off the bat sounded different. I just wasn't a fan of the indoor experience.
I think in Las Vegas though, you'd almost have to during the summer months. I mean, there's no way. It'd be like, Arlington, Texas. I mean, it'd be scorching.
Well, what did Vegas just get? They're building a massive new stadium.
Yeah, they're getting football. Massive
and
football
they got
stadium.
the NHL.
Yeah.
It seems like they just got a hockey. I mean, they were one of the hockey expansions.
And we're basically gifted,
a phenomenal team.
Yeah.
A phenomenal
it's
team.
the best expansion team in the history of sports. It's the way it was set up, and they ended up making it to the finals.
Yeah.
Had a chance to win the whole thing as an
which is
expansion
crazy
team.
to me. Yeah, which is insane.
So, it's safe to say the major sports want to be in Las Vegas, especially now that sports gambling is kind of coming into the mainstream. We used to not talk about it. Now, here we are talking about it.
I know you get the things on AP that has, like, the betting lines for the day of all the games, and I'm like, man, we've really come a long way.
As a matter of fact, one of the most heavily bet things in college football right now is the over-under on wins by the University of Kentucky football team this year was set at 5.5.
I was going to say 4.5. Okay.
People are voting the over. That are not voting, but ponying up money and betting the over on that. And I think a lot of people are expecting Kentucky to win 6 or 7 games. which I think they have the team to do it. I don't know if they have a schedule to do it because it's a really tough schedule this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
As long as Benny Snell doesn't get a phantom flag and get tossed out of a game,
yeah.
I think we're good to go here. Yeah. I think he's going to help.
Yeah, that's one of my conspiracy
that was
things.
Just awful. Just awful.
But as far as the baseball thing goes, I think we're going to see some big changes. I don't know how soon that's coming. That seems to be the variable that nobody can pinpoint. Is it going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah.
But I know right now they have a difficult time putting the schedule together, especially trying to make 162 games. From what everybody says, if you go to 32 teams and go to a 154-game schedule, which would be going back, to the old days of Major League Baseball, that it makes it, from a number standpoint, a lot easier to make a schedule.
And I know this is irrelevant, but I know a lot of the talk whenever, because I'm a big fan of the movie 61, whenever Roger Maris was going after the record, they talked about, well, Babe Ruth did it in 154 games.
Right.
So that was a big talk then. But I think less games would be better. I mean, 162 games, that's a pretty grueling schedule.
Yeah.
I know it's the way it's always been since I've been around, but that's just pretty grueling.
Well, and if you're going to expand the playoffs, you almost have to shorten the regular season by at least a week or so, and that would kind of help you do that. And I'm not sure I'm all for more teams making the playoffs, but I think that's the way they're headed.
It'll still be better than the hockey playoffs. It's like 3 months long.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous how long NHL playoffs are.
The playoffs are about as long as the regular season.
Yeah, that's very accurate, yeah.
But the playoffs are also the best time for hockey. So
Great hockey, yep.
But baseball, I don't like the designated hitter, but I think it's coming, so I've just kind of resigned myself to the fact that that's going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately it's going to happen sometime.
So it'll be interesting to see where the new teams go, what all happens, how it all shakes out. And, the thing that kind of hurts me is they keep talking about fixing baseball, and I'm like, what's wrong with it?
What's wrong? Yeah.
The only thing wrong with baseball is they have a 4-minute commercial break every half inning. They keep saying, well, games keep getting longer. Well, because your commercial breaks are getting longer.
Yeah.
There's actually enough time, I think, during a baseball game to slip in some commercials where you don't have to have that long break every half an inning. And I think they're starting to do that a little bit now, slip in these 15-second commercials during the action. To me, that's a way to go to kind of cut down on the game instead of just, we don't want less action. They want to take less action or have less action and more commercials, and I'm like, no, let's go the other way.
And then you get, like, I know because we have a paper on Monday, you'll get, like, Cardinals and Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball, and those ESPN games are notoriously long. They won't start at 7:15, won't get over until 11, and it adds so much more time.
Well, and that's not really fair because a couple of years ago when the Cardinals were having a really good season, they kept getting moved to that Sunday night game. Well, the reason you play early games on Sunday is because that's usually the end of the series, and you're trying to get out of town to get to the next series. Well, when you push it back, you end up playing, as you said, until 10:30 or 11 o'clock Sunday night. Then you have a late flight. You get to the next city in the wee hours of the morning, and you have a game that day.
Right.
Well, that takes its toll on you, and it's not really, from a competitive standpoint, it's not really fair to make the same teams have to play the Sunday night game every week. My little rant on Sunday night baseball.
Yeah, you do have a little rant on that. Yeah, I'm okay with it, yeah.
So that's where baseball stands. I'm not sure I like where it's going, but as always, nobody asked me.
No, they don't.
If only they did, though.
Yeah.
If the commissioner wants to call me up and have a chat, I would be...
Maybe he's listening to the
I would be
Sideline
completely happy with spending some time with him and going over a few things.
We should have tagged him in a tweet. That's our bad. That's our bad, everybody. Yeah.
Well, coming up Friday night, I know this is what everybody's been waiting for. Football at Tiger Stadium.
Yes.
The Tigers host the Tigers this week, which gets confusing because there's lots of Tigers out there. But
I always just say blue Tigers or orange Tigers. That's usually what I go with.
Caldwell County and Hopkinsville. Craig Clayton will be bringing the Hopkinsville Tigers here. It's the first time that Craig Clayton, a Caldwell County high school grad, will bring his team back to play at Caldwell County. There was he was a longtime head coach at Hopkinsville, but there was a long-time gap in the Caldwell-Hopkinsville series last year was the first time the two teams had played since the 1980s. The Tigers of Caldwell County won a close game over at Hopkinsville last year, 28-21. Really almost pulled out a game they probably shouldn't have.
Scored twice in the last, 5-6 minutes?
They did that a lot last year. But I think this year's game is going to be close. And to me, this is one of the great things about high school sports, this week's game especially, is that both teams are coming into this game, and I know that both camps think this is a game they should win.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, both think that. I know a Hopkinsville team, you come in to week 2, which I think is crazy. I think this is week 3. I don't like that worded.
We get rid of week 0 next year.
Oh, goody, okay.
So no more week 0 throwing everything off.
Week 2, as I put up the air quotes, Hoptown comes in giving up 42 points a game on defense, and I know you look at the numbers, that's abysmal, but you played South Warren, who's definitely going to compete in their class. You play Mayfield, perennial power in 2A, and honestly, the defense wasn't that bad in both of those games. I saw both, and both games, they gave up really big plays. I know in the first half of that Mayfield game, the touchdowns were 30 yards, 50 yards, and 60 yards, I think, and all in that second quarter. And so I'm really intrigued. I know you're going to have I'm going to be following you along tomorrow. I'm going to be over at Trigg. But but yeah, like you said, both teams feel like they should win this game, and both teams have good reason to.
Well, in the Times Leader this week, their crack staff actually picked the game, and
they're on top of things at the Times Leader, aren't they?
Absolutely. You can't beat their sports staff, especially.
Top notch.
Well, I noticed all their guys went with Caldwell this week. I mean, I'm shocked.
Have you seen Twitter in the last 12 hours? It gave Hoptown some poster material. I noticed there were some tweets by Hoptown that whenever you posted your picks, and they're definitely using
I saw
that.
they had shared that.
Yeah, they had. Yeah,
but they're all close. They're all within a touchdown. So if you call the game a pick'em and Caldwell's at home, then Caldwell should be about a 4 or 5 point favorite. I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting just because watching Caldwell week 1 against Christian County, I picked Caldwell. I was very, very surprised that Christian County pulled that game out. I don't want to say slugfest because honestly it might have been a snooze fest, but I was really surprised. And then to come out last week, I heard a lot of chatter from across town when I was at Mayfield that Graves was really looking forward to coming in, and then Caldwell comes in and gets a win at Graves.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really, really surprised about those first 2 games, but coming in, like I said, Hoptown losing those 2 games, Hoptown feels like they should win. Caldwell feels like they should win. What do you think it's going to come down to? What's going to be the key for you tomorrow night?
Typically for Caldwell County, it comes down to turnovers. Caldwell County was +5 in the turnover battle at Graves County. Graves turned it over 5 times. Of course, you can always look at that. Did Graves turn it over, or did Caldwell County take it away?
Right.
I mean, a lot of times when you have that big turnover difference, it's because your defense is pretty good. And I know if you go back and look at last year's 10-3 Caldwell County team, they were +20-something in the turnover department. Well, they were creating 3 turnovers or more a game. Those are big momentum swings. A lot of times points come after turnovers. And in a close game, that's a big difference. I really have a difficult time, the picks in the paper aside, handicapping this week's game.
Yeah.
Because it's tough to know just exactly how good Hopkinsville is, because you can say, well, they've played 2 great teams, and they have maybe 2 state champions, teams that have that kind of talent. But at the same time, is Hopkinsville as strong as we thought it was? Maybe it is. We don't know yet. We thought Caldwell County was going to be pretty strong, and the Tigers looked better last week, but we haven't seen the best from Caldwell County yet. The offense finally found some rhythm, strangely enough, running the football in the second half at Graves County, and so I think they're on the right track, but I really think it just comes down to who makes the least amount of mistakes Friday night, and the Caldwell County offense has misfired in the red zone several times this year. Now, it got better as the Graves County game went along, but the Tigers have left some points out there this season. Do they finally figure that out this week? The Tigers of Caldwell County have some big play capability. Hopkinsville's given up some big plays.
A lot of big plays.
However, Hopkinsville's big up front. Graves County caused the Tigers a little problems up front the other night with their size. Hopkinsville doesn't look as quick overall as Christian County did, and I really thought that was the difference in that game. Was just Christian County's defense was so quick, and when you go against that spread offense, quickness really causes it some problems. And Christian had it all over the field and some size too.
Right.
So it's difficult. Like I said, I think it's a close game, and I think it goes a touchdown one way or the other. And with everybody at the Times leader being big homers, we all went with Caldwell County.
It's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a job requirement.
In the Paducah Sun pick'em, I went with Hopkinsville, just because I'm just waiting for him to click. And with Craig Clayton at the helm, even after last year they started 0-4, I believed everything he said. He's just, and you all know up here, just a great football mind. I remember one time last year, it might have been the playoffs at Warren East, and an official threw a flag. And he walked over and explained it to Clayton, and Clayton's like, well, you can't call this unless this occurs. And the guy's like, really? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, okay, I'll pull that flag back. And I'm like, not everybody could get away with that. And I just think Hopkinsville has too many playmakers on offense between Jay Bland, who has thrown a few picks this year, but I think he's got to get it together sometime. Jatorian Dillard, who missed all of last year with a knee injury. You got Jordan Hobson, another running back. Ellis Dunn, who came over from Christian County. I know we talked about him a little bit a couple weeks ago ahead of that Caldwell game, but I mean he's a force on the offensive end, on the defensive end. He is just a hoss who knows how to play the game of football. And one thing I will say, I'm a little concerned about the Tiger defense right now. Secondary, sort of, but their linebacking core, I know I've talked to a couple coaches, is pretty depleted, and I think that's going to be a big factor. I know last year, anytime I saw a Caldwell game, I think Van Hooser had about 60 tackles a game because I feel like he was mentioned every single time, and I think that's going to be a factor. Who's going to step up? Is Joby going to step up, throw the passes he needs to connect? I know with the Rileys, anything can happen. So I think it's all about who steps up. I know Hoptown took some licks. Caldwell, I won a game, but I know still took some licks. Somebody has to step up. It's week 2/3. It's getting to be about that time.
Yeah. I think Hopkinsville would probably like to try to run the football Friday night. Caldwell County has been pretty good against the run this year. Caldwell County gave up some passing yards last week. Of course, the Mathis kid at Graves County is really good. They've got some good receivers. Caldwell typically, though, will give up a few yards, but you run the risk once you put the ball in the air of one of the Rileys or somebody back there grabbing it and going the other way. So Jameer and Trell both do a really good job of taking away the big plays in the passing game. Typically when other teams hit big plays, it's because one of those is out of the game at the moment. So, again, to me, it's really difficult to handicap, and it's always tough to call the games early in the season anyway because you don't really have a whole lot of season material to go with. But
it's like with the AP polls. I know you've seen a lot of that Twitter chatter, and
I was in the middle of some of it.
You were. That's why I stayed out of it. As far as I could get, I stayed away from it. Yes,
but it's a tough call. I mean, especially to me, anytime you vote in a poll. It's not the top of the poll that's difficult. Yeah. Those first 5 or 6 teams, you can figure out pretty easily. It's who do you put in the 8, 9, and 10 spots because that's important because, you don't vote 11, 12, and 13. If somebody doesn't make 9 or 10, then they don't make it. Yeah. So it's really tough to figure out and try to differentiate between teams. Has this team played a tough schedule? Because, I voted Louisville Trinity number 1 in 6A, even though they've lost.
Oh yeah, I know you saw Frakes got a lot of heat on that as well. Yeah, and like you said, it's early. I mean, we've played 2 football games. There's a lot of football left to be played. Christian County, are they the 8th best team in 5A? I don't think so. I still think there's uncertainty at the quarterback. I think that defense is good, but I don't think it's. I mean, you lose Corey Trice in that secondary. That's huge. Is Hopkinsville the 13th best team in 4A? I think they're better than that. It's just so hard because you get people from around the state that will look at the record and think, oh, they lost 2 games. They lost by a combined. They lost 40 49-7 and then 35-7, 49-14. But you look at those scores and you think, oh, okay, they're not a very good team. But they've also played two teams, like you said, that could win a state championship. So it's just really, really hard to tell this early.
Well, Hopkinsville is not ranked in the AP poll, but I think they were 5th in 4A in the Bluegrass Preps poll.
Yeah.
I had them 6th in my ballot for the AP poll this week. So, I think they're definitely a top 10 team.
Oh, yeah.
They might not have made the AP rankings, but I think they're a top 10 team. I think I had Caldwell County 6th on my AP ballot. They were 7th. I think about the only difference, though, was I had them and Paducah-Tillman flipped. And I think in the AP poll they were the other way. So pretty close. 2 top 10 teams. I could see the game being a 38-31 game. I could see it being a 14-7 game.
Yeah.
Again, I have a tough time really getting a read on it, and I think it's going to be a great game, and everybody needs to get out to Tiger Stadium Friday night and check it out.
I'm really excited. I know you're going to have a good one tomorrow night. Craig Clayton back in Princeton. I want to come just to see how he kind of goes, how he kind of handles it. I mean, he's a professional. I know last year after the game at Hoptown, whenever I tried to interview him, luckily it was on a Saturday, so I waited about 20 minutes for all the Caldwell people to talk to him before I could finally get to him. But, you're going to have a really good one tomorrow night at Tiger Stadium.
There's actually some really great high school football around the area tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Besides Hopkinsville at Caldwell County, you've got Paducah-Tillman at Mayfield. I think it'll be a big game between Crittenden County and Trigg County over in Cadiz.
I'm excited about that one. I'll be at that one. It'll be – I know those schools aren't exactly huge fans of each other.
I don't think they've played a lot in football over the years.
Yeah, did they play last year? I'm trying to remember.
But Crittenden County has a pretty good team. I think, they don't get a lot of publicity the way some schools do. But, I think Crittenden County is kind of looking at that game as, we can go over to Trigg County and have a big win and set us up for the rest of the season. And I know if the Crittenden County folks are probably sneaking a peek ahead to that Caldwell County game, too, because that's always a big one for them. Henderson County is at Christian County. I think we're going to find out a lot about that.
Yeah.
I actually like Henderson in that game, but I could see Christian winning it too, just because of all the athletes they have out there.
Yeah.
I was surprised actually that Christian County lost down at Clarksville Rossview last week.
Very surprised. I know a lot of turnovers though. I think maybe they had 4 or 5 turnovers. I mean, it's really hard to win.
Turnovers kill you.
Turnovers kill you. It's really weird. Turnovers are really bad for you. I know it's hard to believe, but you give the ball away, and bad things usually happen. But yeah, there are some really good games. I know one I'm looking forward to that is not exactly in this area, but statewide has some pretty big odds. Bowling Green and St. X.
Oh yeah,
that's a biggie.
Well, South Warren goes to Franklin Simpson
Friday
night.
Going to be...
I mean, it's just big game after big game.
Yeah, there's a lot of big games.
To be week 3, week 2, technically.
Week 2. Let's just call it week 3. Let's
go
ahead and get a year in advance.
I never understood why the KHSA went with that week 0 designation for the first week anyway.
I gave up figuring out the KHSAA about the day I started. Yeah.
So we're all in agreement, except for Tyler, that we're picking Caldwell County Friday night, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dakota?
Oh, you chime in now, do you? You get on in now.
Please, it's the only time I have to chime in.
Yeah,
whenever
that's fair.
Whenever Caldwell's, it's always Caldwell.
Yeah.
So get out to Tiger Stadium. I think there will be a big crowd. It's Caldwell County's home opener.
Yeah.
Had to go to Christian County, had to go to Graves County, and had some good crowds at both.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I mean, week 1 at Hoptown, I said, I mean, this is – the Stadium of Champions has advantages and disadvantages. Disadvantage, it's a big place.
Yeah.
It's really hard to fill that up. But an advantage, it always looks good for the away team. And Caldwell had a lot of fans there, and it really, really helped.
But down at Graves County the other night, I looked at the field, 15 minutes before kickoff. It looked like there were more Caldwell County people on the visitor side than there were Graves County people on the home side.
That wouldn't surprise me. We're good at showing up.
Yeah. So I'm expecting a big crowd. I think it's a good game. I really like the fact that both teams have scheduled people that are good and I think are better for it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could go all over Kentucky and Missouri and Illinois and Tennessee and try to find a school that you could just whip up on the first 2 weeks, but I mean, what have you proven?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that Christian County loss did Caldwell County some good. I mean, nobody likes to lose.
Mm-hmm.
They would rather have won the game, and there were some opportunities there to do so. But I think when you play a Christian County and a Graves County, you find out a lot about yourself, and you find out where you need to get better. And
it worked out pretty well last year.
Yeah. And the same thing with Hopkinsville. I mean, people are like, well, they're 0-2, but they
were
South
0-4
Warren
last year, and then they still did
Mayfield.
all right. Yeah.
And, South Warren is one of the top teams in 5A.
That I was very, very shocked about how good they were. I talked to Hoptown's defensive coordinator after the game, and he goes, I knew they were good. I had no idea they were that good. And they were really, really good.
So, again, it just makes calling this week's game difficult.
Yeah.
I think it's a toss-up. I mean, I just really think that, the team that comes in and plays the best, executes the best, makes the fewest mistakes is going to walk out of there with a win. And, again, the greatest thing is both teams are sitting there in practice this week saying, this is a game we're going to get.
Yeah. And it could be a tie. We could have a tie this week. It'd be really bad for our stories.
On deadline night, I do not want overtime.
That's true. That's a good point. That week 1 game where they had 2 at the Stadium of Champions, and that second game didn't get started till 8:30, 8:45. Yeah, that was not good for the deadline.
So at Caldwell County, it's the season opener, the home opener, Friday night against Hopkinsville. Next Friday, it's actually the first of 3 straight home games for Caldwell County. Crittenden County is coming up next week, and that will be Hall of Fame night at Tiger Stadium. And then after that, the next week, Henderson County comes in, and we will be honoring and celebrating the 1998 Caldwell County State Championship team. So some
Do you get something good for next week for being in the Hall of Fame? Do you get like a pack?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I get to.
So you get in, and that's pretty much it.
I get to take the picture of this year's Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
I could not do that last year. Kind of broke my string of taking the picture of the Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I guess I could have had, but I would needed one of those long selfie sticks.
A really long.
Just put a timer on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just do that.
Anything else we need to go over? I'm excited about football, and we got a lot of stuff in. Just it's a busy time in sports, and to me that's a good thing. I always think that I should have a shirt made up that says, I survived August at the Times Leader.
It's
we'll get you one.
It's insane. Just the amount. I know the amount of things that you have up here. I know I was looking at the schedule at the beginning of August, and like between girls and boys, there are 8 sports right now between cross country, golf, soccer, football, volleyball, and it's daunting when you look at it, but it's the best time of the year. I mean, you have football, you have something to do every night. Luckily.
And you guys are covering what, 7 schools, 8 schools?
Oh yeah, Hopkinsville, University Heights, Christian County, Trigg, Todd, Fort Campbell, and then HCA Heritage.
So that's a lot of coverage. And when you hit August, you end up with all those preview sections, and you're trying to get your previews done. You're trying to get your sports section done.
Hey, you did some awesome previews.
Thank you.
They looked really great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we
saying
talked.
that biased a little bit. No.
Well, my theme this year was sort of like Sports Illustrated covers.
You can
don't know if
tell.
anybody caught on to that or not, but
Well, now they do. I mean, now you've just admitted it.
Yeah, you let the cat out of the
this
bag.
is live,
Yep.
right?
because this isn't the run through.
I thought we just recorded this. I never knew this was live.
Gosh, we probably should go through and edit.
Because I had like 0 ideas for preview covers, and I mean it was getting close to deciding on something.
Yeah.
And I went home one day and my Sports Illustrated was laying there to come in the mail. And I looked at that Sports Illustrated and I thought, that would be cool just to make all the covers look like magazine covers.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
And there you go.
There we
It
go.
looked great.
And you talk about already getting ready for previews. I know we texted last night at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, you're doing basketball.
about basketball previews. So it's really never ending. There's really never a time to stop. Yeah.
Well, that'll be good,
the
though.
life of a sports writer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
Hey, you wouldn't believe how much excitement there is.
Yeah.
That was the word I was looking for.
Excitement. I could see the wheels turning. I was like, what adjective
Like
is he gonna come
I
up
get
with?
into work and I see that there's 12 games on the schedule. It's excitement. That's the first emotion that comes to mind.
Now, I'll tell you what, I never get as much done as I do on a Tuesday or Friday night about 11 p.m. Because, I mean, you just the deadline is looming. You've got 2 stories you've got to write. You've got pictures you've got to work on. You've got pages you've got to finish laying out. and the people at the New Era at the Press are wanting your pages.
And people always ask, like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, what do you do first? I'm like, you have to do one thing at a time. That's the only way to explain it.
Yeah.
You have to you can't do 2 or 3 things at once. You have to say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. That's the only way.
Yeah, you'll go nuts trying to think of the whole
yeah.
thing at once. You just have to, like I say, break it down into each little project and finish that and move on to the next and finish it. And
like Tuesday night, I didn't write my gamer until 10:45. I'm like, I got back, all the roundup was there. I'm like, okay, I can write all of this, I can design everything else, write my story, and that's you just have to,
it's fun though.
Oh, it's fun, excitement,
Burning the midnight oil.
Oh yeah.
Well, again, it's a busy time.
Yes.
Football on TV tonight, Purdue and Northwestern. I'm still going to say Elijah Sindelar starts until I see something different.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come out on Twitter at about, what time's it kickoff? 7?
7 o'clock.
So 6:50.
Yeah,
it'll be on there. Yeah.
Somebody's going to be out there taking snaps with the first team, so we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm
before
excited.
kickoff.
This is fun time of the year.
For Caldwell County, home boys soccer tonight against Fort Campbell. Girls soccer at Graves County. Volleyball is at Christian Fellowship School tonight. Caldwell County Middle School football is at Trigg County. Go support your local athletes. You know, you can DVR the football game. Murray State's game, I think, is on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
The new OVC contract.
I'm very excited.
See that at 6.
Got my subscription the other day, actually.
I kind of liked it when it was free on the OVC.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the streaming quality. I know a couple years ago it was pretty rough, but yeah, I know SIU's been on the ESPN Plus for a while. So.
Oh, and one thing we haven't mentioned so far in the show, and I know Dakota's wanting to get to the weather forecast.
He's itching.
What's happened with the weather?
Emma Talley should have teed off just a few moments ago, and up in the Portland Classic. Playing with Anna Nordquist and So-Yun Ryu today and tomorrow in the first 2 rounds. 9:59 was their tee time off of number 10. Tomorrow, Emma has an afternoon tee time at 2:59. Golf Channel coverage this week is late. It's like 6 to 9 p.m. this evening, and then 5:30 until 7:30 on Friday. Maybe Emma can still get some TV time at some point, and hopefully didn't make the cut last week up in Canada, but that happens.
It's Canada.
Usually she bounces back. Yeah.
I don't know exactly what I mean by that.
But it is.
The Great White North.
The Great White North, yeah.
But usually she bounces back really well after an off week, so I expect to see her back in that top 20 or top 10 range this week up in Portland, and hopefully she can keep climbing up that money list. And man, I think she's around 40th, 41st, somewhere around there this week. Hopefully she can keep having a great year, and just, again, she's a rookie on the LPGA Tour.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
incredible
impressive.
year. Yeah. So that's everything going on, and Dakota, back to you.
All right. Well, it was enjoyable just sitting over here watching. I'm glad that I could. I threw in a few comments every now and then.
Yeah, we tried to
do more.
Yeah,
you can tell. You can't tell through the radio, obviously, but if you look at the live stream, I literally looked every place except Todd's face. Because every time he would stop, like to take a breath after he asked a question, he'd always look over here like I had something to say.
Well, that's usually where Ty would jump in and make a comment.
Yeah.
It wouldn't always be sports related, but that's where he would jump in and make a comment.
I guess I can work on, like, that's interesting, Todd. Or tell me more. But all right, it's been fun, guys.
Thanks to Tyler for coming over.
Oh, no problem. Anytime.
Tyler Dixon, sports editor at the Kentucky New Era. Yeah, I'd love to have you back whenever you're available. And that was your Sideline Report on your local hometown radio station, WPKY 103.3 FM, The Tiger. Your Sideline Report is sponsored by ABC Finance, U-Ride, and Bashir Sawmill. So thanks for listening. Y'all have a great day, and be sure to tune back in for our new news hour with Audrey Lamb. You're listening to The Tiger.
From the WPKY Weather Center, here's a look at the latest local forecast on 103.3 FM, The Tiger.
Today we're looking at a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly